Well, here it is Monday. Um, yeah, I mean, hopefully Monday will be better than Friday. Usually Friday is a better day because that means, oh, it's the weekend coming up. And well, I don't know. Some people still have Monday through Friday work weeks, and you get the weekend off. That's why it's called the weekend. Because it's the end of the week. I get. No, that's yeah, babbling already. Um, but I know other people work on Saturdays or Sundays, and then maybe if they're hopefully they have days off at other times during the week. So um, I can't really say, you you know, it doesn't work for everybody to say I hope you had a good weekend because some people, just had to work all weekend, and maybe that was good, maybe it wasn't, but it wasn't days off from work. So yeah, here it is on Monday. I'll just say that it's Monday. Okay. And Friday was just, it was awful. Just just bad things kept happening. And I think I recovered from most of them, sort of, but um, yeah, things I couldn't even imagine happening happened. So today I'm really close to finishing this thing. And as you can tell, I'm not coming at this with great confidence because of the events of last week. Um, just to give you an update, it's down to this pretty much. Is I have the bumper and the clear headlight lenses and these tiny little turn signals to put on the front of the car. Okay, so just those bits, the radiator hose, which on Friday I figured out how to install, and hopefully I'll be able to do that. A Monte Carlo bar. I don't know why it's called that, but it is. And it's a chrome bar that goes across the front of the engine compartment here. And when I looked at pictures of the real car, they actually did have that. And then the side view mirror is supposed to go here, and there's supposed to be this little slot to which it attaches, but I haven't been able to see that on the model. Maybe I'll be able to find that. Um, this is a really tiny chrome plated piece, so it's really slippery, and there's a good chance. I mean, it's just going to be difficult to put on because it's almost too small to hold with fingers, and it's too slippery to hold with tweezers. But it's not as bad as these turn signals, which are even they're tiny little bits of chrome plated plastic that are supposed to go on these little holes here. And I think I'm going to do the headlight lenses first. Okay, the clear parts. I'm not quite sure how to attach those because they're clear. So I think I'm going to use this stuff that's supposed to be, for clear parts, and just put like 3 or 4 little dots around the perimeter of it and then attach it and hope they stick. And then I'm going to do the turn signals before I put the bumper on because I want as much clearance as I can to try to hold them either with my fingers or tweezers to get them into these little holes. I need to test fit them because if they're anything like the backup lights, these things, they didn't fit in the holes. And I had to enlarge the holes, both holes, and then actually file down the little prong, that goes into the holes on one of them because the chrome plating just kind of bulged up a little bit. So it looks like there's really not too much to be done. There's plenty of opportunity for things to go wrong, like dropping pieces or losing them or smearing cement on places where I don't want to smear it and ruining the finish. Um, Not being able to figure out where to put the side view mirror, that kind of thing. I'm going to be, as in the past, working inside of a box because of these little parts. I talked about that before. Prepared. Here's the box. So there's a box, and I work inside of a box, even though it's a little bit awkward working around the rim, because when I drop the piece, not if, but when I drop the little piece, there's a better chance of not losing it if it's in the box because it'll hit the paper towel and not bounce very much. And if it does bounce, it stays in the box. Whereas if I did it just on this cardboard and dropped it, there would be a pretty big chance, a pretty significant chance that it would bounce and fall and then disappear forever somewhere down below on the workbench surface. So yeah, so I'm down to these little bits down here. Oh yeah, I need to remember the rear, the decal on the front for the license plate and the rear license plate, which I haven't installed yet. I need to remember those things, and maybe I will. Maybe I will remember them. So this is the car that is mostly, mostly done. Um, let me turn it this way. I have to be working on the front here. The clear headlight bezels go here and here on top of the chrome bits, and then the turn signals go here and here, and then the bumper is supposed to attach to these little holes like this, and it sort of does. Yeah, it sort of does. It's, you can't see the parts that are up there. If I move the camera, come on, camera guy, here. Yeah. There's the bumper. There's the Monte Carlo bar. Oh yeah, at some point it actually needs wheels. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, like we keep like I keep forgetting about the wheels, but it's a car, so it should have wheels. And these are the little bits that need to still be installed. These these tiny little things here. Those those are the turn signals. But these are like they're like contact lenses, kind of, about in terms of size. Those need to go onto the chrome backing, and I said I'm going to do those first, so I am. Take my glasses off because see I can't see close up. So these somehow go like that, and then they're supposed to stick when they get on there, and need to be oriented correctly. Great. So that's how it goes, but it needs to go on there with some adhesive on it. There. That's the kind of thing that can happen, right? There's some dust in there. Okay. What I'm going to do now that I'm looking at this is starting to see what needs to be done and how. Not how. I don't know how. We'll find out how. But what needs to be done is I'm actually going to use my toothpick. I'm actually going to get the dust out. What is that? Oh, that was bad. That's why I'm working in a box. Okay. If that had been not in the box, I would have lost it. I'm trying to get the dust out of here. Um, think that's like a little remnant, little string of the contact cement. Now it's gone. Now there's this. There's some more. It's just the tiny little stuff that's the biggest problem. Okay, what I'm going to do, I hope this works, is I'm actually going to put the adhesive on here, okay, and then put the lens on, as opposed to putting it on the lens, because if I put it on the lens, I know for sure I'm going to get it on my fingers, and you saw on Friday what happens if you get stuff on your fingers. Not you getting stuff on your fingers, me getting stuff on my fingers. It's not good. It's a not good thing. Um, I need is just like a piece of regular paper. I got adhesive on this on the cardboard, and it's just a mess. There, and so if I put it, you can't see what I'm doing. I moved the camera before and didn't move it back. Yeah, if I put it on here before I scoop it up with the point of the toothpick, and it's not on the cardboard, and I can get rid of this by just throwing it away later, which is a good thing. Um, no, let's see how this goes. I'm going to put 4 dots on here, four spots of adhesive at the cardinal points. And try to get this oriented correctly. And I guess what I'm going to try to do is I'm just going to kind of drop it on there, I guess. Great. Is it not making contact with the adhesive? Did I put these in upside down? Okay, well that's not making contact, so or maybe it is. No, it isn't. So this isn't working. I think maybe I thought for sure I put them in the correct way, but it looks like I didn't. Now I'm making a mess. Okay. So this stuff is supposed to dry clear. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna just spread it all over the center here. And this might be a mistake, or maybe not. I don't know. This is to be seen, isn't it? I want the lines on this way. Okay, well, instead of putting it over the box, I didn't. I had it hanging. I need it to be over the box, right? But I had it not over the box. And it fell on the floor and I almost lost it. So the thing about what disaster awaits, yes, that is the question. And we might be finding out. Okay, well, at least now it's sticking and it doesn't look bad. Trying to get it oriented correctly. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to put the adhesive all over this center part here. And try to orient this the same way as the other one, which was like this. Yeah, like that. There's lines on it, and I want them to be horizontal. Do it this way. Ah, geez Louise. Now I got adhesive all over the front of this. Yeah, what disaster awaits, right? What can possibly go wrong other than everything? I was just trying to rotate it a little bit, okay, just to line it up right, and it just popped right off. Because I think I did. I think I actually I I wasn't sure how these chrome parts were supposed to actually go in, and I think I put them in upside down. Okay, well, we'll try again. Stay over the box because there, it dropped again. Don't touch the edge. Whatever you do, don't touch the edge because that'll flip it out. Yeah, that looks okay. I'm just going to hope it stays there. Okay. Um, well, there, that was that. I don't need that anymore, but I will need another piece for the contact cement, maybe. The next thing is the tiny, tiny, tiny little turn signals. Oh, hi, who? Oh, I'm getting people in chat and I'm not paying attention. Hi, guys. Hi, thanks for joining in. Um, I am going to, before I do these tiny little bits, I will do a flip because otherwise people's days will be ruined. And, well, my day might be ruined with the rest of the stuff that I'm doing on this car. But before I ruin my day, I'm going to do a flip. I'm going to just do this one. This has got This is a decent size, and if I can keep it on camera, you might be able to see how it goes. Paint. It landed on paint. No, you can't see it there. Paint again. Not paint. 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 It's 4-1. This might be the first 5-1 flip that I've done since I've been doing flips. But we'll never know because oh yeah, it's on the floor under the workbench. Let's see if I can even get it back. We might never. Nope. Okay. I'm actually going to count that. It's a not flip, not paint. It's 4-2. 4-2. I'm just going to keep flipping. This is a lot safer than working on the model. I have to lean up. I am doing okay, thank you. I have to lean forward. I do have my large print chat screen disappeared after a bunch of updates before I went on my trip. So I haven't had it for about like 2 months almost. It's been forever. I haven't had it. And so I've got this tiny little chat screen that I can't read from where I am. Maybe if I put my glasses on, can I read it? I can't see close up with glasses, but yeah, that I can sort of read it from here. So just if somebody is in chat saying chat things, then I will put those on and make an effort to read it. So feel free to participate in chat. And from time to time, I'll actually look up to do two things. If I look up, one is to see if I'm working on camera, because as you know, that does not that is not a regular feature of the stream of what I'm working on being actually on camera. That's kind of a hit or miss kind of thing. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes I notice, sometimes I don't. Okay, these things you can see they are very small, and there's this little yeah, and they're at an angle because they're going on to a thing that's angled here. Oh, really? Is this loose? Yeah, that's coming off. Okay, well, I'll just need to be careful with it. I don't want to mess around with cement if I don't have to. Just okay. So this little pin is supposed to go in this little hole. It does. Good. That's good. I don't know. That was a test fit. It may or may not ever happen again. Yeah, I need to fix that. That's really loose because that broke when I was putting the underside of the car in place. So I'm going to have to put some contact cement on that. Every time I do something like that, there's an opportunity for a disaster to happen. So something to look forward to is the opportunity for a disaster to happen. That's why the title of this stream is "What Disaster Awaits." And the other one went in the hole on the other side. So the tactic I'm going to use here is to try to get it in the hole and then rotate it after it goes in, because this isn't something that's actually working. Oh, there, okay. And so, but not, so that theoretically, in theory, should work. Okay, I need to do some dangerous things here. Dangerous meaning actually attempting to do something. Every time I do something, there is danger involved. Danger of it going badly, horribly wrong. Like attempting to re-adhere this. And then attempting to get tiny, tiny drops of this contact cement, not on my fingers, but in this little opening here. Okay, so that's a thing. And then what I really should do, and I'm going to try to do this, is I should have tiny bits of contact cement on the long thing, so that when they contact each other, they stick. And that I might have succeeded, I might not have. In any case, I need to get those tiny little bits of things into those holes, and hopefully that will happen. There's a flaw in the plastic there I hadn't noticed before. There's a dimple in the plastic itself. Okay, well, while I'm waiting for that, I can just, since I've got the contact cement going, is the Monte Carlo bar goes across. Can I do that? No, I need to put the radiator hose in first. Maybe I can probably, I'm not going to rush it. I've got, what, like 2 hours left at least. Um, I've got 2 hours left in the stream. Why rush things? Okay. Why rush things and take a chance of messing up? How do I keep getting that stuff on my fingers? That's really not a good thing, because that's how I messed up the windshield. Is I got a big blob of this contact cement on my finger, and then I touched the windshield. Now I've got it on my thumb, my finger. Is it just coming off the can? I don't know. I'm gonna have to really pay attention here when the next time I use that for the bumper or the radiator hose. The next time I open that and get a toothpick in there. is how is it getting on my hands? I don't know. Stuff paint does that too. It jumps onto my fingers from who knows where. Um, okay. Well, now I'm going to make an attempt to actually attach these to the car. I did this before. You saw it happen. I was able to get this into the hole. And oh, there. Why doesn't it go in this time? That's good. I scratched the yellow paint. That helps, doesn't it? Okay, they're just not going in. Okay, it's not working. And so what I need to do is, I guess I need to make the hole bigger. It fit before, and now they're not fitting. It's just there's always something, right? There's just always something. Make the hole big enough so that it goes in, and then it doesn't, and then it'll just flop around, right? I don't want to. I don't. What I don't want to have to do is file down the prongs. That just creates the opportunity for things to get scratched up. Okay, that one's in. I'm going to have to touch up the amber paint on that. I don't know if I can remember what color I used. Okay, well, they're in, and I messed up the paint, and I'm just going to fix the paint right away while I'm thinking of it. Okay. That just has to be done, as I have to fix the paint, which creates yet more opportunity for a disaster, right? I think I think it was sun yellow. Get my paint chart out and see if I can match it. Why does there always have to be something, right? Yeah, it had to have been sun yellow. There's nothing else. There's nothing else that it could be. Yeah. I now have to move all sorts of stuff all over the place in order to get paint out. These are tiny little dots of paint that I need to put on where I scratched the paint off the chrome because I had to push down on it in order to get those into their place. And I really hope this is the right color. All right. I need to put my head magnifiers on so that I can have some chance at least of getting the spot of paint into the spot where it needs to be spotted. I need to slow down here a minute. It at least appears to be the correct color. So what are the next bits? The radiator hose, Monte Carlo bar, the bumper. So the bumper, I'm going to wait on the bumper for that paint to dry. paint's not coming out of the brush. Yeah, trash. Yeah. So the radiator hose has two attachment points. There's a little hole in the radiator up here, and there's a little ledge there. And those need to have contact cement on them. And then that's the last bit, the side view mirror. This is where I somehow get contact cement on my fingers, and I don't know how. So that's going to happen again, I guess. Just seems to be what happens. And the equivalent it's on here is the bottom, like a little edge there. So it goes on here like this, and then on the point that goes supposedly goes into the little hole in the radiator. Just gonna let that set for a bit. And what's left? The Monte Carlo bar, the bumper, and the side view mirror. So I think the bumper is the one that's the most aggravating. It just you would think that it would be really easy to get it on, but it's just not. The Monte Carlo bar just goes across here. That's pretty straightforward. The side view mirror, okay. When you look at the instructions, okay, look, see that? That looks like there should be a little indentation right here, right there behind the frame for the wing window, but there isn't. There's just not. There's nothing there, and so this is where I'm probably going to drop it for sure to make sure it's facing the correct way. So this is supposed to go on here. Yeah, holding onto it is not that easy. This is supposed to go right here, but there's nothing there to indicate where it goes. So I guess I'll just have to imagine. Wow, see, that it's just an altogether awkward piece. It's all rounded and slippery. It needs to go right there somehow on that attachment point that doesn't exist. Right there. Just like that, like I'm practicing. You think that's going to actually happen when it comes time to do the real thing? Shall we start guffawing now? Shall we start laughing now about, oh, yeah, it'll go just real perfectly. Just wait. It'll be just, that'll just go poof, just poof, right, right there where it's supposed to go, just like that. So far, I have managed to not hold on to anything that I've been attempting to work with here. Here, that is actually where it's supposed to go. Huh, how about that? I should either be very afraid because something went okay as like a harbinger of future disaster, or I should be thrilled that something went okay. I'm not sure which. Okay, well, those are in there. They look okay. Um, yeah, so this now is a big piece of chrome because back in the day, that's how things were done. They had big pieces of chrome. It's supposed to go. There's little alignment pins here. They're supposed to go into little alignment holes, kind of, I guess, like that. And it keeps popping up. I guess it just needs to be held like that. Okay, that's how it goes on. So that's the next thing is that this bumper is going to go on kind of like that. Okay, so the contact cement goes onto the bumper itself. Here, this is the alignment pin, and then there's just way too much on the toothpick, isn't there? Yeah. And then on the car body itself, pull the alignment pin, and then just I don't want strings of stuff. And above and below it, it needs to be in contact with the pan. Hopefully, it will stick. Because those are the only points of contact on the whole thing. That's it. They either stick there or they don't. Um, got the side view mirror, then the Monte Carlo bar, and then the wheels. I keep forgetting about those. But before I do those, the very last thing I'm going to put on, well, second to the last thing, maybe the very last thing is this, the rear license plate. That's going to be the very last thing. I'm going to do that after the wheels are on, actually, because it just sort of dangles there, and there's a pretty, yeah, I guess I'm even going to put the side view mirror on first, I guess. Among the last things, the two last things to go on are going to be the rear license plate and the side view mirror. After I put the bumper on, I'm going to I think I'll attach the wheels, or maybe I'll put the Monte Carlo bar on. I'm not sure. But I need to get the front license plate, which is oh yeah. At some point, I need to put the hood on. The hood is over there, but here's the license plate. And that goes on. I actually should put it on now. The contact cement can sit for a while. It can sit for like a couple of hours actually. But as I'm thinking ahead, I just was thinking there. I just did some thinking. Is that the license plate kind of goes under the bumper, and if I put it on now, um, then I won't. Well, there's nothing in the way now. Let's just say that there's nothing in the way of the license plate now, and there will be later. These, I have to think about these. But those are the side stripes. The car, when it was white with a blue stripe, I'll show you that. Great. So when it was white with a blue stripe, these go along the side here, and they're actually kind of an important detail on the car. But now it's blue with a white stripe, and actually the color is just not right. I think it would look bad. They go right along here. It's just going to have to be without them. Um, the the color just it'll look it'll look ugly. And rather than having it look ugly, I'll just have it look inauthentic, like somewhat incomplete. So you're saying, okay, that contact cement's been sitting there for a while, but as it says on the can, and I have no reason to doubt it, you can wait up to 2 hours. Stuff's just going to sit there and it'll still stick to itself. So I do have time to put this on. This is the technique I use, which is to get a really wet paper towel and let the decal sit on there and soak up the water rather than having it float in a tub of water. Clean my fingers again. They're just sticky. When I remember, I the first thing I do is close the container because there's a pretty good chance I'll knock it over and make a huge spill and have just a really big mess. So since there's a pretty good chance, definitely a not zero chance of doing something like that, when I remember to do something to try to avoid having that problem, I'll do that. But my fingers are still sticky. It always seems like it takes a really long time for the decal to loosen from the paper. I want to be careful not to like tear it or otherwise mess it up. It's a technical term that I use frequently. Oh, I messed it up. Okay, well, while I'm waiting, I can have some coffee from my official Dyson Dungeons mug. Hmm? There, Dyson Dungeons. But it's backward on the screen. Okay, well, there it is. Dyson Dungeons is about our Dungeons and Dragons show. Have I ever mentioned that? If I haven't, I'm mentioning it again because you should watch our Dungeons and Dragons show because it's amazing. It streams with a live chat on most Sundays at 2. But the easiest way to watch it is to go on YouTube and catch those episodes and get to know our characters and stuff like that. And you can do that at any time you want. Or you can even listen to it as a podcast because there's usually enough sounds going on that you can hear it. You don't have to watch it. Sometimes that might be better. Then you don't have to see me. Should I take a chance and put my coffee mug here instead of behind me? I don't know. So the way I've done this in the past with some success is to grip the paper. See, it's sliding off. Grip the paper with the tweezers. Okay, and then slide it into place. But I have learned, I've learned through error that I need to have a puddle there where it's going to be sliding. Otherwise, it won't be in the right place, and it needs to float. It needs to float like it's supposed to be floating, and it's not floating. Put itself into the correct location. There we go. And then I need to just dab it, barely touching it. with a paper towel to sop up the excess. I don't want to use that one or this one. Sop up the excess water without moving it. Close enough. Okay. Now, that out of the way. Now I've got a puddle. Now I can make an attempt. I'm going to attempt to attach the bumper. It's not falling off. It's level. It's not. It's not where it's supposed to be though. There, that one's in. Yeah, the license plate is not in the right place. It's too far over to the side. I don't know if I can move it or not. That's better. Now I need to dab it again. Yeah, it's definitely a better location. And the bumper, it should be like that. just it never did fit. No matter every time I test fit it, it just never fit. Um, so that's as good as it's going to get. Okay, so the front of the car is done now. Um, what have I got? The rear thing, the side view mirror, and the Monte Carlo bar, which is where? Where did that go? There it is. Contact cement. When I bought this, you know, fresh, it was less viscous, and it hardly ever got little strings, little spider webby strings. But now, as it's aging, it is getting little spider webby strings. I've got the side view mirror and the rear license plate after this goes on. Here's the rear license plate. Let me see. I think I test fit these once and they actually go on. Yeah. I mean, they don't stick. They're going to have to be cemented on, but at least they go on. It looks more like a car when it's got wheels. Okay. Those are going to require contact cement. Actually, quite a lot of it. I might as well get on it, right? Might as well do what needs to be done. I'm just putting it on the inside here, inside of the wheels. And then I'm going to put it on the axle, the things to which these attach. um, yeah, the other side, right? Make sure all four wheels go on. Somehow this is somehow this what seems to be an extremely simple thing is causing me to feel anxious. I'm not sure why. Okay. Now, as I said before, this can actually set for quite a while um, before I actually need to attach those parts. This is a mess too, isn't it? The whole top of this. I'm doing this with the tweezers. I probably should not be doing this with the tweezers. Now I got it all over the tweezers. Uh, Sometimes it worked. The tool was good. I don't want contact cement on the tweezers. There's all sorts of stuff on here. I'm gonna have to give these like a cleaning with some mineral spirits. I think just to make sure that there's nothing on them that shouldn't be. Okay, those are setting. This one. This is the Monte Carlo bar. Why I don't know. It goes here and there. Like that. Okay. Um, and then I think I don't want to forget about it. Forget about it. There's actually a hood that goes on here, and I tested this many times, make sure that it actually goes on, and it kind of does, but I don't know if it's actually going to now that the model is almost complete. So I'm probably going to break this um, in the attempt to install it, just to let you know ahead of time that that's probably going to happen. Um, so I'm going to fiddle with it now a little bit so that you can see how I'm probably going to break it when the time comes. It's just, I don't know why that's not going on there. It's just, it should fit. It's like a hundredth of a millimeter too big to fit in like that. Okay, I'm gonna have to do just a tiny bit of filing at some point to do that. Okay. So I've got the side view mirror, which I showed you before. Now let me show you the thing about the rear license plate. The rear license plate, just like the front one, was a decal. Okay. But instead of having space big enough for it, like here, there's just this, which is only half the height of the decal. So if I put a decal on there, the license plate would have to either fold over, which they don't do, or flop around. So what I did was I got some really, really thin plastic from um, just leftover sprue, and I cut a rectangle out the size of the license plate, and it's not sticking. I don't know why it's not sticking. Come on, stick. Why is there always something? And so this is now a solid piece, and what I can do with it is I can attach it like that, okay? Just cement it on, and the license plate will hang down like it has a frame. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to attach it by putting some contact cement on both the back of this and the place where it goes on the car here. And the most important thing is to do this on the top of the license plate and not the bottom. And if the contact cement does its magic, this will stick. And then the only things left after this goes, ah, no, no, no. Oh, geez, Louise. It didn't mar. Good grief. I almost got contact cement on the side of the car and it almost messed up the paint. What disaster awaits? Geez Louise, that was pretty funny, wasn't it? So the only thing that's left then after I get that on is the side view mirror and breaking the hood. Oh well, there's the wheels that I keep saying I keep forgetting because I do. Let's stick the wheels on. You might notice that compared to modern cars, the wheels are actually quite small. They're probably like 13, 14-inch wheels. They're not these gigantic 16, 18, I mean, absolutely now I'm going to have to keep this upside down, aren't I? Hmm. Until the wheels set. That's why the instructions say put the wheels on last. So that was probably I probably just did a bad idea thing. Well, I'm going to turn this over like this because then I can see if the wheels are, kind of straight, which they're not here. This one's not being straight at all. No, they work better if they go on further, huh? Yeah, that's the thing I should do is put them on, push them in far enough. Oh yeah, that's much better. Then they stay stable then. Huh. You imagine that by putting them on correctly, they work better. Who would have thought? I can I think I can actually set it on its wheels. Yeah, look at that. What is, oh, good grief. That little license plate is sticking, is just jumping onto everything. I better stick it on where it goes quickly before, and now it's wrinkled. The decal is coming off and it's wrinkled and broken. Okay. Well, that was bad. The whole thing went bad. The whole thing with the decal, my cleverness, has turned into just a mess. It's not sticking. Yeah. All right. So what's left? The side view mirror and the hood. I'm going to try to put the hood on next and then the side view mirror. So what has to happen here, unfortunately, is I need to file that down just a tiny bit, I think, to get it to fit. So this goes in like this, but it has to go in at an angle, okay, for the hinge to fit. Like that. And then this is supposed to go sliding over, and then this is supposed to go into that gap. But it's just the tiniest bit too big. So I'm going to make this a little smaller. The problem with making it smaller is I can't make it bigger again. But hopefully there'll be enough of it to actually hold on to there, there, and it closes. So there. These technically are supposed to be silver, but I'm not going to paint them. And you can open the hood then. It opens. Doesn't stay open. There's no prop 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 up for it. But there's the hood, which makes it a little bit more complete. And now I need to get the side view mirror on. I'm anxious about this. If this contact cement doesn't go on just right, it will be a mess. Okay, there's a little dot there. That's all I want. Okay. So, and while I'm waiting for that to kind of settle, you know, it's supposed to firm up, dry. It's supposed to just dry a little bit before making contact. Let's, let's see what's left in here. Little bits of plastic. This is a container of little bits of plastic that may or may not ever be useful. Sometimes little bits of plastic like that are actually quite useful. Okay, this is an empty container. This should be, except for little bits of plastic. Got a couple of little bits here. Little chrome bits. I'm going to save those. You never know. You never know, and you might need kind of a lozenge shaped piece of chrome. And this should now be empty, except for, oh, that's some leftover screw and a bunch of paper. Now I've got a surplus, a surfeit, a veritable surfeit of paper towels. And I was looking, I didn't have enough before. What's that? Sure, why not? We'll save all of this. It takes up no space. I'm cleaning up. If you can't tell, it's hard to tell because that doesn't happen very often. Um, I'm doing this. Step 22. I do believe, yeah, it is. According to the instructions, that's actually the last step. So this is one of the very few times that I followed the order of the instructions, the sequence that they say to use. I'm sure I can use these paper towels later. That's a cover that goes on that brush. Here, brushes that can go here. This is my note to myself that says install the windows before putting the body together. And I remembered I did that. I'm going to continue cleaning up here, and then I'm going to come back and try to stick that on where it belongs. Now you might begin to ask, um, since I've got another hour left in the stream, what do I do next? That's a good question. Good question. That's, I mean, that's what you're supposed to say when you're doing a question and answer period. Is you make the audience, the people asking questions, feel like they're valued, and you just say that's a good question. It might not really be a good question. Okay, it might be like even completely off the topic. It might be misleading. It might be. It might just be dumb. I mean, it might just be a bad question. But you keep saying that. You say good question because you want to Like if they're paying you to do consulting or something, if you insulted them and said, "That's a really dumb question. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Why did you even ask that?" That just shows how ignorant. If you say something like that, then they wouldn't renew your contract, and then you wouldn't make money. Okay, I almost put it on backward. It has to be this way. Okay, well, it's sticking, and it's more or less where it's supposed to be. I guess that what more can you ask? Hmm? That it isn't good enough. Okay, I'm going to try to show this to you. It's okay. There's the back of it, the tail lights and backup lights and the gas cap. Okay, and the license plate that is kind of a failure, but you know, not too bad. The interior came out, I think, really pretty good. If you can see that at all. Okay, I got the steering wheel down and the glove compartment, the stick shift and stuff are down there. The engine compartment looks okay. You saw that before. I'm not going to open the hood. The front of the car, yeah, looks pretty much like it's supposed to. Um, there's a little bit of excess cement here, I guess. Just going to pull that off. This is the part that broke off earlier. I would much rather just pull that off than to try to paint over it. I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to put one tiny touch of blue paint on that because this is where it broke. Okay, there's always something, but I'm going to just do that. Just a little. It's going to be a tiny bit of touch up with this blue paint. It's like a manufacturing flaw. It came out of the factory wrong, and then the dealer is going to say, "Oh, I'm just going to touch that up for you. You'll never notice it." I'm lucky I'm not going to knock over there. See, it disappeared. Yeah, that's okay. Okay. Um, so I'd have to say that in terms of modeling quality, this is like a B, maybe a B plus. Parts of it are okay, but I'd give it a pretty solid B. There's little bits of flaws in the paint, and almost totally ruined the windshield last Friday. I almost totally destroyed it. So now it's a little bit cloudy. Um, there's some little parts of the details um, that didn't get painted very well, or I just skipped over because I couldn't do it. Trying to get the paint out of the brush. Wow, look at all that. I barely touched it to the paint, and now it's all full of blue paint. So there's some things you'll notice, compared to contemporary cars. Ones that, like I said, the wheels are quite small, for a sporty car. The other is that it sits way up high from the ground too. To see that it's setting up high. But we'll move it back onto camera more after I get this out of the way. Cap it up so I don't spill it. It's pretty good. I haven't spilled it. Don't press your luck by saying what you haven't done. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to put this back on here and then maybe move the camera around a little bit. Can't move it very much. Try to get more of a side view there. Okay, you can you can see you can see it's a car. Get these out. You don't need to see those. The box isn't in great shape. I think I'm just going to toss the box. I don't see any reason to keep it. Actually, sometimes people want to buy the instructions. I don't know why. 1985. Wow, this model. No wonder it felt like it was old. It is old. Um, 40. Holy cow. Yeah, copyright 1985. Look at that. This model's it was like 40 years old. No wonder the decals weren't working very well. Okay, well, let me read this to you while you're looking at it, just because there's words here. I'm going to read the words. It was 1965, and the sporty Ford Mustang was the automotive sensation of the year at Ford Motor Company. Not surprising because it's a Ford. The emphasis was on total performance in quotes, and the new Mustang proved to be the basis for an exciting new machine that was destined to become an automotive legend. Actually, it is. The real GT350s are hugely expensive now, major collector's items. Conceived as a challenger to the vaunted Corvette, ooh, vaunted. This new creation was known as the Shelby GT-350, and it proved to be an uncompromised road machine that captured the imagination of enthusiasts of all ages. You can tell that this was not written by engineers. The crew at Shelby American transformed semi-finished Mustang fastbacks into raucous two-passenger road rockets, in quotes, road rockets that rewrote the definition of excitement. Good grief. I'm glad I'm reading this. This is pretty amazing. They were absolutely strikingly finished in a pristine white paint scheme emblazoned with two bold blue stripes. As you can see, no, it's blue with white stripes, which looks a lot better than white with blue stripes. It just does. But the magic waited beneath the skin in an extensive series of engine, chassis, suspension, and interior modifications that transformed the original pony car, again in quotes, into a true thoroughbred. Your 1/24th scale kit, that's what this is, of the famed GT350 portrays a late production 1965 model. Actually, a lot of the parts that came with the kit were stock Mustang parts, like the exhaust and a few other things. So there was a cheat going on here. Like the original, this kit includes the distinctive GT350 grille and hood. Okay. Yeah. The interior is equipped with two seats, just like the original, and a covered spare tire rests on the rear floor panel. They got rid of the rear seats, and all that's back there is the spare tire inside the compartment. Okay. So that's pretty fun. That's not really a hatchback, it's a fastback. So if your tire blows out, maybe I could show this to you maybe later. Um, if your tire blows out, in order to get the spare tire, you need to open the door, crawl behind the seats, up onto the shelf, uncover it, pull it out through the door. Okay. A special instrument pod that contains an oil pressure gauge and tachometer is included. Lift the hood, and you will find a scale replica of the 306 horsepower V8 that gave this pony its kick. It's complete with a low restriction air cleaner, Cobra valve covers, simulated aluminum intake manifold, and tubular exhaust headers. The engine bay also sports the transverse export brace that was fitted to the Shelby Mustangs. Oh yeah, that's right. The transverse. That's this thing here. There. I don't. I don't know if you can see it. Those you can see inside and see the air cleaner and the headers and the tubular exhausts and stuff that they were talking about here. Those are inside the model kit there. Contemporary Michelin TRX tires are provided to fit the special Shelby wheels. You can't really tell that those are Michelin tires. And imposing side exit exhausts. They're imposing. Yeah, you can kind of see them. Bring to mind the roar of the modified V8. Top this package with a pair of Guardsman blue stripes, and you have just finished a true winner, in this case, white stripes on blue. Monogram would like to thank Mr. Rick Kopek and Bud Williams of the Shelby American Automobilist Club for their assistance in the development of this kit. Ta-da! There it is. Now you heard it. I used up probably 10 minutes of reading the puffery blurb. I'm gonna keep the instructions. They're kind of cool. I don't need this. Oh, there's another little piece of chrome thing I can stick in the little pocket of miscellaneous useless bits. Well, I'm just going to put this in the box and keep the box for a time being. It's just going to be in the way, but at some point, I don't want to throw it away right away. Okay, what's going to happen now? Okay, what's going to happen now? And I'm just going to leave the camera on so you can see that there is, in fact, a completed model here. Okay, I want you to see that. And I'm going to take a break. I'll be back in moments. I'll be back in a little while, not very long, but I need to take a break. And then when I get back, we need to talk about what, if anything, is going to happen next. Okay? There was something in chat. I need to read what it was. Hi, thanks for dropping in. Name brother. Thanks. So you have seen the completion of the Shelby GT-350 repainted in a much better color, blue with white stripes than as opposed to the white with blue stripes. And I really do need to take a break. I'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay. So other than trying to clean up the various messes that I've made in the process out here, I don't think you can see it very well. It just doesn't show up on camera. You can see where the spare tire is. If you could see it, you can see that the spare tire is directly under the window, and that in order to retrieve it, you have to open the door, crawl behind the seats somehow, climb up on the shelf, unwrap it, and pull it out. So pretty much, I mean, what it really comes down to is that was just a really dumb idea. Um, I guess it opened up space in the trunk, maybe, but the other thing is just like if you hit something, not that you'd want to, and crush the front of the car, the spare tire probably would break loose and come flying through and smash you in the head. Okay. Well, this is done. I'm going to put it aside over here. So aside, and then talk about now what. So I've got the big decision is do I keep the stream going or not? Okay. I finished that car when I opened that model at the end of the year and I looked at it, I said, this is probably going to take all of 2026 to finish. And it didn't. I mean, it's not even May yet. Almost May. Pretty close to being May. But it only took 4 months and I was gone for like 4 weeks out of those 4 months. I didn't start until practically mid-January because of travel. And then I took 3 weeks off just a couple of weeks ago. So it went faster than I thought it would. And it came out okay. It's not great. Like I said, it's a B. It's not even, I don't think it's quite a B plus model. There's just too many flaws. But it's a B, definitely not a C or even a C plus. It's a B, some parts B minus. It came out okay. At a at a distance, a respectful distance of at least 18 inches under dim lighting, it's not too bad. Well, what you're looking at here is a blank work surface, you know, piece of cardboard with spatters on it. So here, there's this. It's like, am I going to do something next at all? I've got dozens and dozens of models. I've got a Ferrari. I've got a SR 2071 Blackbird. I've got a Corvette. I've got a PBY Catalina. I've got an Atlas Mercury. That would be kind of cool. The Atlas Mercury one. I've got just all sorts of World War II planes, P-38s and Messerschmitts and some Star Trek models. I've even got a Deep Space Nine with fiber optic lighting in it, a giant V2. Um, I think there's a praying mantis or something somewhere. What's what's that? I think it's Klingon Klingon battle cruiser maybe. F-22, just you name it, and I've got probably got one of those sitting around because I bought tons and tons of models when I retired, thinking I would have nothing to do but build models. And it turned out I didn't build models until this stream started. Um, but I think I wanted to do something that wasn't very challenging at this point. So I got this. This is this German U-505 submarine. There's a big long story about this submarine. It was the only warship captured on the high seas. That's how they put it. Um, since like the War of 1812 or something. It was captured in 1944. And they, believe it or not, the entire submarine, they brought the submarine up through the St. Lawrence Seaway and all into Lake Michigan. And it is located in a museum in Chicago, Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, the entire submarine. And about 10 years ago, well, it was kept outside because it's a submarine. It's a big boat, right? And about 10 years ago, they built uh, enclosure for it. It's just it's now indoors. You can walk all around it. You can see underneath it. It's kind of suspended. You can take tours on the inside, and they have movies about the film that was actually taken during the capture. They have a bunch of stuff from the inside of the submarine. They told us there's the story about how we violated the Geneva Convention actually because the crew of this submarine, we didn't want anybody to know that we captured a submarine because the submarine wasn't that important, but what was inside of it was important. And what was inside of it that was important wasn't the crew; it was the encryption machine, the coding machine that was inside. And so the whole thing was captured so that we could steal the encoding machine. And then we didn't want the Germans to know that we had done that. So the submarine was just, we announced that it was sunk. But the crew we didn't inform the German government or their families that the crew was alive. And so we kept them in for almost a year in secrecy, which was a violation of the Geneva Convention, actually. But it kept the news of the capture of the coding machine from the Germans. I bet inside here there's probably a big long story about the whole thing. So if I build another model, I'm going to build this. Why? Well, because it's not too big for one thing. A really big model like the B-29 or even the SR-71. There's we're there's no place to keep them. There's just no place to store them. And the Atlas is not big, but it's tall, and so that's hard to store. This one isn't too big. Uh, the other is that the painting is pretty simple. There's two colors of gray, right? There's dark gray on the bottom and light gray on the top, and everything on the top is painted the same color of gray. So I can, since, as you know, I can't airbrush anything. I just can't. I fail at airbrushing. Um, I can get two colors of spray paint that come close to these colors, probably close to these colors, and just spray them. And in looking at this, I would probably do the bottom part, the dark. Usually you do the light color and then the dark color, but it looks like I would probably do the dark color and then the light color because it would be easier to tape it from the bottom than to the top. But I'll make that decision after it's assembled. I think the painting for the most part won't be done until the whole thing is put together, which is unusual because most of the models I've done, the painting has had to be done as part of the assembly. Um, and so I was putting together painted parts. But with this, I can actually use regular model cement, I think, and filler. So I'm gonna open the kit and at least see what's inside, and then I can. This isn't a terribly valuable kit, unlike some. Like I was going to build a X15, and I looked up on eBay and found out that the model kit I've got is worth like $95 or something, and I thought, no, I'm not gonna. I don't know that I want to mess up something that's worth $95. I'd rather than $95. This is when I bought this, which was some time ago. 15, so it's probably maybe $20 or something now, and they're still selling them at the museum. Of course, they sell them there because that's where the submarine is located, right? Right. This is the skill levels. Oh yeah, here's the skill level system. Skill. You should see this. Skill 1, 2, and 3 is skill 1 is for ages 8 up. Moderate is for 10 up, and most challenging is for people 12 and up. I'm definitely um, I'm definitely over 12. So, yeah, model cement and paint are required for skill level 2s and 3s. Which skill level is this? Does it even have a skill level? Hmm, I don't know. I don't know what skill level I'm getting into. Here's some words though. German U-boats were a vital factor in the strategy of the Second World War. The U-505 was captured by the U.S. Navy and is now a feature exhibit at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. The model is 14 and a half inches long, and there's a fully detailed hull and deck with conning tower, periscope, guns, and net cutter. Oh yeah, that's cool. The net cutter. That's important. Kit is molded in gray and includes decals and a display stand. May be painted to match photos on the box. And I'm going to try to paint it to match the photos on the box. Sometimes these actually come with painting instructions, um, like the Savoya. The Savoya came with really good painting instructions. It's the only model really that did. A lot of the painting instructions are pretty worthless. So here, I opened the kit. Now I've got some trash. Keep my glasses on, I think, for now. Let's see what's inside. Probably plastic parts. I bet there's plastic parts in there. Oh, there's a plastic bag. There's why is there cardboard? Oh, to keep it from collapsing on itself. Otherwise, the box could potentially just collapse. So now I've got some cardboard. It doesn't look like there's too terribly many parts. I don't know. Here's some more words. Let me read these words. The U-505 is a type IXC. It's Roman numerals, but the C is at the end. 109 long-range German submarine from World War II was captured 150 miles off Cape Blanco, West Africa. Look it up. I don't know where that is. It's off West Africa in the Atlantic Ocean by Hunter Killer Group 22.3, commanded by Chicago and Daniel V. Gallery on June 4th, 1944. June 4th, yeah. So actually, it was 2 days before D-Day. That's kind of interesting. It was the first enemy warship captured by the U.S. Navy since 1815, which was the end of the War of 1812, called the War of 1812 because it started in 1812, but it ended in 1815. The U-505 was towed 2,500 miles to Bermuda and kept secret until the end of the war. It was evaluated by U.S. Naval Intelligence and yielded, among other things, 2 Enigma code machines, code books, 2 acoustic torpedoes, and the key to the German naval grid square system, which is important, I guess, because with the Enigma code, you could decode it and tell where you were on the grid, but unless you had the grid, you didn't know where that actually was. So that was a good thing to have. With an American crew, the Germans were taken off, an American went on. U-505 was then secretly used to train Allied anti-submarine forces until the Germans surrendered on May 8, 1945. The U-505 was later used as an attraction for the 7th War Bond Drive and raised millions of dollars. The U-505 moved to Chicago in 1954 and on September 25th was dedicated as a war memorial to the 55,000 American sailors lost in 2 world wars. Since then, over 23 million visitors have toured the boat at the world-famous Museum of Science and Industry. It was declared a U.S. National Historic Landmark in 1989. When was this copyrighted? 2004. So this is 20 years old. Great. Read this before you begin. Okay, I'm going to waste some time by reading this before I begin. Study the assembly drawings. That's on the inside here. So I'm going to study those, right? Each plastic part is identified by a number. For better paint and decal adhesion, wash the plastic parts. Rinse and let air dry. Check the fit of each piece before cementing in place. No kidding. It's unusual for pieces to actually fit. Use cement for polystyrene plastic. Allow paint to dry before handling parts. That's a good idea that sometimes I fail to adhere to. And any unused parts may be discarded. That What if you just forget to put them on or don't bother? So then they'd be unused and you just throw them away. Um, there are 4 colors. There's a paint guide: black, dark gray, gray, and gold. I'm interested to see where the gold paint goes. I know about the dark gray and the gray because that's the colors on the cover. So there aren't a lot of parts here. The hull, there's going to be a lot of seams though that need to be filled in and sanded down. You can see that the 2 hull parts are come together. So all around the outside of it, where the hull comes together, there's going to be a seam that needs to be filled and sanded so it's seamless. And then when the deck parts go on too, you don't want gaps between the hull and the deck parts. So those will have to be filled and sanded. So there'll be a good deal of that going on. Oh, they want the propeller painted gold. That is not true. They did not have gold propellers. They really didn't. They were bronze. And it just so happens that I have a really nice bronze paint. And so these propellers are not going to be painted gold. They are going to be painted bronze. What is painted black? What is painted black is the display stand, not the not the ship itself. So the bottom of the ship is painted dark gray, and the top of the ship is painted light gray. The guns are black, machine guns. Yeah, the guns are black. Okay, that'll be easy enough to do. I've got some black paint. I can do that. These are not highly detailed models. Okay. I mean, these guns, I have to see what the parts actually look like, but I can say right now that, well, the parts themselves are better than the pictures of the parts. Okay. Yeah. So the bottom's dark gray, the light at top is light gray. Use thin wire or thread for the antenna. Oh, they don't provide that, but there is all the way from the front to the back. Um, there's places to do that. That would make it look more authentic. And then there's decals, U505 decal, the flag decals, and German Wolfpack leader really on the stand. Overall color is gray. Paint shaded area dark gray, light gray, a little bit of black, some bronze on the propellers. So it's pretty straightforward in terms of painting. The important part is to get a nice, clean, straight line all the way across the hull on both sides. So that's going to be the tricky part of the painting is getting that really nice clean line. um, and so yeah, do I paint the light gray first? Hi, who? Okay, thanks for joining in. I will do a flip. The car, by the way, is done. So if you ever stop by, you can see it. I'm not going to bring it back on camera because I'm talking about a submarine now. So at some point, pretty much at the end of the assembly, other than putting little bits on like the guns that are painted a different color, since everything is painted the same color. Okay, since everything is going to be painted the same color of gray on the top, I'm going to do the assembly first, and I'm not going to paint all the parts and then stick them together because that just results in the paint being flawed and runny. I have a really nice gray primer, so I'm going to prime the whole thing in gray. And I wonder if that might be the best color for the bottom of the hull. In which case, the whole thing would be painted this flat gray primer color, which would be a good color, I think, for the bottom of the hull. And then I would tape that and then get some light gray paint and spend a good deal of time trying to make sure that the top is covered. And I'll unmask it, and hopefully there'll be a good straight line. That would be pretty good because it has to be primed anyway, if that color works. Okay, I've got trash. This is trash now. I'm going to do a flip for who, and then I'm going to open the bag and small parts go in here. Like some of them become detached from the sprue already. I guess this is the decal sheet. But where are the decals inside? Oh, there they are. They're covered up. Yeah, U505 and a couple of markings. Well, there's not much in terms of decals there, are there? No. No, let me move this aside, and then I'll finish unwrapping it. But first, a flip. I haven't flipped this thing in a while. There's nothing much that can get broken here, I don't think. I can flip the sear and no sear. Let's see what happens. No sear, sear, no sear, sear, no sear, and no sear. 4-2. No sear wins. Let's see. Nope. Will sear ever come back? There's sear. Okay. Um, well, let me open the bags. I'm going to keep this container in case there are loose parts. Like there's one there. I think that's one of the diving planes. Not plane like an airplane, but plane like in a piece of flat something or other. Now the scissors is working very poorly on the plastic bag. And here's the hull of the submarine, so you can see how big this is going to end up being. Just to see how well the parts fit together. Can't tell because of the screw attached to them. This is very narrow. Okay, well, you can already see that there's going to be a seam, you know, when these parts are attached, there's going to be a seam between the two that will show. So I'll be cleaning that up, trying not to break the little stuff on the top here. That I'm going to try not to break that. I want to not break those off, the little railings. Okay, there's a bunch of little parts there. And I'm sure. Are those the propellers? Wow, those are really seriously. Those are hideously badly molded. Wow, I mean, really badly molded. I mean, kind of appallingly badly molded. I'm gonna put a piece of paper towel down. Now, put those big pieces on top of the little pieces. So there's some loose parts in here that I do not want to lose. This is the cable cutter. This goes on the nose of the submarine, so that if it runs into a cable, instead of being caught on the cable, it's supposed to cut through it. That's what it's supposed to do. I don't know if the submarine ever ran into a cable or not. These are the top decks. Oh, that's pretty good detail on those, actually. Yeah, I mean, it looks like planking. This is just painted light gray. Almost the whole top is. There's another piece that's loose. Here, so I don't lose that. Make sure that there's nothing in here that I'm going to end up throwing away. And here's the rest of the parts. These are, oh my, oh my. My, oh my. That's a way of saying these are very badly molded. I mean, granted, this is a 20-year-old kit, and I guess Museum Science and Industry. Who made this anyway? Revell? I mean, look at this. I've talked about how when things are injection molded, sometimes the molds don't come together and the plastic like oozes out around the parts. Just look. I mean, I think even on camera, you can see that light colored kind of halo around the part? That's just excess, that's flashing, that's just excess plastic. And these little parts here, okay? Those are like machine guns. Just look at so you can see the different color. That's all going to have to be just really carefully sanded off. These parts that are supposed to be round aren't because they got ridges on them. So unfortunately, this is one of those models that's not going to go very quickly because I'm going to be spending a lot of time on very delicate because I don't want to break these. I'll probably break them anyway, even though I don't want to. Trying to get all that excess plastic off of the parts without, messing up the part. Yeah, not very impressive. Not very impressive quality. Definitely unimpressive. I am not impressed by the quality of the model. But there it goes. That's why all the parts need to be shaped and filed and sanded and et cetera, before putting them together. Okay, so this looks like a simple model, but um, it's going to take a fair amount of time doing a lot of stuff that doesn't have anything to do with assembling the model. Okay, because I need to cut off the sprue, join the parts together, fill in the seams, sand the seams down so that they don't show, get rid of all the flashing around the little bits, the little parts. Um, no, I am not. See, and then do things out of order. For example, the propellers. They have you put the propellers on and to paint these parts. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to not put the propellers on until the end. Okay. Um, because I want all the parts, that get cemented together to be put together first before I paint it so that the painting is seamless as opposed to painting them and then trying to attach them and messing up the paint. Um, I mean, most of this just can all be put together pretty easily, except maybe the guard might go on later, but the propellers are going to be one of the last things, or at least they won't go on until the whole thing is painted. I'm going to fit the guard that guards the propellers. Okay, there's like this metallic thing, so maybe if you're like scraping the bottom or something, this would protect the propellers from being damaged. So what's going to happen here is I'll be putting these parts together, um, and it's going to be kind of just a weird process of waiting for things to happen. Kind of like the hull needs to be put together, and then it needs to set. So say I actually started this on Wednesday. So let's just pretend I do. I would get the sprue off, sand the sprue down, attach these two hull halves together, and then they would sit until Friday because the cement needs to set. Okay. Maybe, maybe I would attach the upper. I might do. I might do the. Oh, I will do that. I'll do the hull and the decks because um, if the hull is like squeezed together too much or gaped too much, it needs to fit tightly on these deck parts. So if we look ahead to Wednesday, if I start building this, then I'll be doing steps B and C, and I suppose I could build. It's going to have to be on a stand, so I could do A. I could do A, B, and C on Wednesday, okay, and then the cement would need to set before. Well, Yeah, I mean, I can't the cement would need to set, and then on Friday, I would fill the gaps because there's gonna be gaps, right? And while I am waiting for the Wednesday after I'm done doing that, I can start getting the little parts out, all these little pieces that have flashing all over them, okay, that are just a real mess. I can start getting those out and start sanding them down and cleaning them up because there's just a lot of them. I can just start doing that. And as I clean them up, I'll put them in the little containers so I don't lose them. Or maybe another container over there. So this it's going to be these things that are be out of sequence. So say on Wednesday I do A, B, and C. I let the cement set. On Friday I fill in the gaps, which isn't going to take a whole lot, and I wouldn't be able to sand it down until a week from today. Okay. But while I'm waiting for all of that, I can get all the rest of these parts prepped. Like maybe I can skip ahead to G and get the two halves of the conning tower done. Those need to come together. I could even do A, B, C, and G on Wednesday, looking ahead to parts that come together like that, because this will have a seam that will need to be filled in and sanded. Yeah, that. So I'm just talking through kind of how this is going to go. But um, a lot of this will just be waiting for cement to set and for filler to set and then sanding, a lot of sanding. And while I'm waiting for those things to happen, I'll be prepping all the little parts. And once the little parts are prepped, okay, um, like the machine guns, I can put the machine gun on the mount, right? I can do that. And then I can paint them and then set them aside because I'm not going to attach those until the rest of it's all painted gray. It's a winter guard. That's kind of funny. I never heard of that. But one of the platforms that you stand on, where the gun is, the main gun. Well, not the main gun. That's the main gun, the cannon. But this gun goes on a winter guard. Yeah. So I'll be going back and forth, just skipping around and getting things prepped and so on. And there'll be a lot of assembly. And after all of these bits, other than the guns and the propellers, are assembled, I'm going to prime it gray, paint the whole thing gray. Okay. And with the gray primer. And then I'll see if the gray primer is going to be the hull color or the top color. And then I'll get either a darker gray or a lighter gray to paint the other half of it. What did you say? Who? Than the other submarine? Oh, the one that took a year and a half because of the whole interior detail. Yeah, this will definitely take less time than that. Hmm. Um, I'm not sure. There's travel is coming up again. Okay, I'm going to be dog sitting for 3 weeks while other people are traveling, and so this stream might become a little bit unpredictable because it will depend on how the dogs are behaving. And then I'll be gone for another 3 weeks after that in May and June, end of May and beginning of June. Um, so I'll make as much progress on this as I can before I start dog sitting. But I might end up with like maybe abbreviated streaming sessions while I'm dog sitting. And then there won't be any streaming sessions while I'm gone because I won't be here to do them because I'll be away. But yeah, I chose this model because for one, it's kind of cool because I've visited this submarine many times actually. Once when I was actually still like in elementary school, the first time I saw it when it was still parked outside in the museum, and then taken the tour inside of the submarine at least 3 times. Okay, so it's not pleasant inside. I'll just say that. Being a submariner in a German submarine was not going to be pleasant. if you ever want to the movie Das Boot, okay, or the boat Das Boot, they call these boats, U-boats, Unterseeboot. Um, See that movie because it is an absolutely accurate representation of the inside of the submarine. It's crowded. It's hot bunk. People don't have their own bunks unless you're one of the top three officers on the ship. The galley is the size of a closet. It's tiny, and they have to feed like 50 people from that. See Das Boot, and then you'll see what the inside of this submarine really was like, and what working, serving on the inside of it was like. It was pretty incredible. Um, but yeah, I visited this submarine several times, and I rambled on about that. Um, so yeah, I guess I'm gonna keep the stream going at least for a while, kind of erratically between now and July, because well, the middle to the end of June anyway, because of various and sundry dog sitting and travel again. But I'll be letting people know when I'll be gone and when I'll be back. And while I'm dog sitting, starting in a couple of weeks, um, I'll I'll try to be as consistent as I can with this stream while I'm working on the submarine. But it, uh, I don't know. It really depends on how they behave. Which means like when I take them out to do their duty, do they do it so that I can get to the stream having already had them, pee and poo, or do I have to like take a break every half hour or so to see if they're going to do that so that they don't so that they do it outside where they should, or if they're barking too much or just misbehaving. It's just going to be unpredictable, I guess I have to say. Um, but yeah, there it's unwrapped. You can see that there's not a whole lot of parts, but the ones that there are very badly molded. This is as poorly molded as I've seen poorly molded parts. To be blunt about it. Um, Fortunately, it's just flashing, but it's going to be it's just going to be a fair amount of work cleaning, keeping them cleaned out. What are those things? These swoopy things? Oh, those are propellers, shaft supports. Okay. Well, yeah. So on Wednesday, I'll be taking these four pieces off, these really big pieces, and the two pieces for the conning tower, and cleaning up the edges, and then cementing them together. And also be doing that if I can find the display support thing. I'll be cementing those together and then cleaning up other bits and pieces and parts. And then on Friday, I'll be filling and filling in gaps and doing more cleaning up. Um, and then a week from today, I'll be sanding down seams and hopefully being successful at that. And if the sanding of the seams, to be alliterative, if the sanding of the seams goes okay, I can then start attaching all these other these bits all over the place. Yeah, I can do that. In the interim, I'll be able to assemble the guns and paint those. That'll be kind of an off and on thing. Yeah, so I'll be going out of order, and I'll just be getting things prepared for painting. I want the whole thing assembled, other than the propellers and the guns, assembled, and then paint the whole thing with a gray primer. See how that color turns out, and then get either a darker gray or a lighter gray for either the bottom of the hull or the top of the hull, depending on how the primer color looks. Yep, yep, yep. You know, well, probably if I can clean up the propellers, paint those bronze, and stick them in the little container here so that they're done. Yeah, that's it. I'm a little surprised. I'm a little surprised that there isn't an insert that tells the whole story about the capture of the submarine. There's just a couple of paragraphs because, while I was waiting for cement to dry, I could be reading that. But no, there isn't. So that's it. Um, I guess I'm going to keep the stream going at least for a little while to do this submarine. It's pretty dramatic, isn't it? And when it's done, it might end up looking like this. You have to do the thin wire or a string for the antenna things. That'll be interesting to rig the ship, so to speak. Well, thanks for watching. Um, I appreciate anybody who's watching this stream for whatever reason you're doing it. Thank you so much for doing that. And yeah, the car is done. It's over there. Here, I'll show it to you one last time. I'll take a chance. I'm going to take a chance and move it here on screen. You can see that it's actually finished. There, it's actually done. You will not be seeing it on this stream again. I'm going to be, um, it's going to be put somewhere, not here. Probably, maybe on a shelf behind. It's probably going to go on the shelf behind where we record our Dungeons and Dragons show. So if you want to see it again, you need to watch our Dungeons and Dragons show, Dyson Dungeons and Dragons show, which streams on Twitch with a live chat. Or you can catch it on YouTube or as a podcast. Do that. And if you're watching it, you might see this. You might, I'm not promising, but you might see it in the background somewhere. It might be there. And it might stay intact. Hopefully, that might be the case too. I'm done for the day. Thanks so much. I need a display case. Yeah. Yeah, for all the completed models. Uh-huh. That's not going to happen. But yeah, that is a thing that potentially could happen, but isn't going to happen. But the car's done. Yay. And then I'll work on the submarine. And the submarine it'll be kind of frustrating because the parts aren't very well made. And I might break something. You can always, look forward to that maybe. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do next. But you can tell I'm kind of wearing out. The coffee's wearing off. The caffeine is fading, and I'm fading. So I'm going to quit while I am ahead and say thanks again. Watch our show. Definitely watch not this show, but our Dungeons and Dragons show. Watch it. It is great fun, and I know you'll enjoy it. I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye.